Hello and welcome to another Scottish mountain walking guide. Today we travel to the Cairngorm Ski Centre to climb Ben Vian and Cairngorm. The total distance for this route is 19.74 kilometres with 1,605 metres of ascent. The summit of Ben Vian requires a little easy scrambling to reach the top of the granite tor. The rest of the route is almost entirely made up of gravel and well-made rocky steps. If you stick to the clearly defined paths, there are no boggy sections. In summer conditions, it's expected to take around 8 hours to walk. The Cairngorm Ski Centre car park is a pay car park that utilises number plate recognition. There is a machine to pay at before you leave. The charges are based on how long you stay, with 20 minutes being free, 8 hours is £3, 18 hours is £5, overnight is £25. Hill walkers can use a dedicated walkers car park for overnight parking for £5. This is only available to cars. There are no height restrictions on the main car park. The dedicated walker car park has height restrictions. Parking is free during the winter season, and there is space for around 500 cars. It's around 3 hours drive from both Glasgow and Edinburgh. Starting from the car park, you head towards the ski centre and go up between the two buildings here. And from there you're going to bend off to the right, cross a little stream, and then join a clear and well-made path on the opposite side of that stream. And you simply follow that path as it makes its way up the mountain and through the ski resort. It will eventually come out at a gravel road here. This is a main utility road that the ski resort used to access the different areas of the site, and it's also used for some go-karting of some sort, so you need to take care just in case they're running down the road at the time when you cross over. Follow the gravel road through a couple of bends, and just here you'll see a little cairn, and this is where the start of the mountain path begins. It's a very well made path using cobbled rocks, and you simply make your way up. You're going to come up the edge of this ridge that you can see ahead. There's a massive cairn on the top here, and you continue to follow the path down. You could cross over slightly more directly, but it's not a clear path to follow. So we followed the path down a little bit until we could clearly see the path that descends down this gorge. It starts off as a reasonably gentle decline at this point, and then you're going to come to the top of a very steep drop down this gorge. The path is well made, much better than the previous time I did this walk, but some sections, especially near the bottom, are quite steep. The rock is a little bit slippy and you just need to take care. It's not quite the same as scrambling, but you are using your hands just to steady yourself as you're descending. That path continues right down to Loch Arn, but you want to break off and cross over the stream and then contour around the mountain here. You'll see a sandy beach ahead at the very end of Loch Arn, so you're heading towards that. This section is very rocky. There's lots of boulders and rocks, and you're working your way through and around them and over them, so it's a bit rough going, but it's a good enough path and it's easy to follow. There are a number of different routes across here, but when you get down to here, assuming it's not too cloudy, you will see there's a clear path cutting across the opposite side. So you continue heading south and you'll make your way around. You've got to cross this river here, and that was quite easy to cross. In the actual video, we crossed here and we crossed over directly. It's a little bit boggy, that section, but you can easily go around it on a well-made path. You continue to follow the path. The shelter stone is over here somewhere. Follow that path and then it'll make its way up the side of the hillside here. Comes out at the top, it starts to level off. Some of the path is not so obvious to follow, but it's not difficult. You just keep following that path. You're aiming for the end of the loch here. At this point, you'll then bend off to your left and make your way up another clear and well-defined path. Lots of steps, quite easy to ascend up this route. Then it'll start to flatten off, heading in a northeasterly direction. There's a small tor, an outcrop of rock here, so you make your way towards that, and then when you get closer to that, you start going more northeast. Again, it's a very clear path. You can tell where the wear is. It gets slightly more vague as you come towards the actual summit of Ben Vian, and it's a large square tor. Looks quite difficult to actually ascend as you're approaching it, but you just make your way around to the back of the tor and it's quite easy to scramble up the back of it. The tor itself is about 5 metres high. When you're climbing up it, you're not climbing up with a big drop beneath you. From there, you're going to retrace your steps all the way back down to the end of that loch-in. This is a good point to fill it with water, both on the way up and the way back. There are plenty of water sources all the way along this route. In the longest section without water, it's probably that ascent up to the summit there, and then when you leave this stream here, when you're going up to Cairngorm itself. But you retrace your steps back, make your way down, make your way across, and the most difficult part of the walk, as in most strenuous part of the walk, is just going back up this gorge here. It's quite steep, but you make your way up there fairly quickly, and then it starts to flatten off. Continue all the way back up to the point. There's a small cairn that marks the top of this path, but but you'll see the path is well used. It's quite wide, about 6 foot wide, so it's quite clear and obvious. At that point you want to turn to your right, and you've got about 130 metres to ascend to get to the top of Cairngorm itself. When you're climbing up here, getting near the top, there's a little weather station at the top, so you'll spot that first, and as you're approaching, it looks like the higher point, but the actual cairn, and there's a large cairn, is off to your left, so you just make your way to the cairn. You can see there are two routes here. This is the sort of access road that they use to go up to the weather station. But you want to make your way directly north, and there's a string of cairns, so it's very easy, even in thick cloud, to make your way back down to the actual, this is Ptarmigan Station, where they have a cafe in the top of the vehicular railway track. So it's very easy to make your way back down there. And at some point further down, there is actual ropes. So if the weather was extreme, and it can be extreme, then you can use the ropes to steady yourself. When you come down to the cafe at the Ptarmigan, you want to go round to your right, follow the rough gravel road, and it bends round again. The road itself bends off to the right, but you want to go straight on, and this is now a gravel path. It's a very good, well constructed path, and that path takes you all the way back down to the ski centre. Good morning, I'm at the Cairngorm car park. It's just gone 7:30, we're here to climb Ben Vian and Cairngorm on the way back. It's a Sunday morning, it's meant to be a glorious day today, and the midges are back. There are a number of different routes at the start, but we're going to go up the left hand side of the main building and then cut across to the right. We're just following the signs for bike park to begin with, and the path goes up the other side of this little stream. This path winds its way up through the ski centre, and it's aiming for the ridge just where the blue sky is. You go up into that ridge and up and over that little top. As you're coming up this gravel road, you want to keep an eye out for the path that goes off to the right here. This is where we leave the ski resort and go up onto the mountain. Just looking back down the mountain. I put a new mountain bike track in there on the left. When you get to the top of that path that we were on, you come to this nice big cairn, and ahead you can see Ben Vian. And the summit's clear at the moment. Cairngorm, you can almost see the summit, it's not far away. Ben Macdui in the background there, beyond the crags. From here, you head a little bit to the right towards the crags, and then it bends back to the left. Ultimately, you're heading down towards that lock-in at the back. So you're heading directly down there. It's a very clear and obvious path. Just once we come over this little ridge in front of us, very clear path. It goes down a bit of a gully and takes you right down to the loch down there, just below the Shelter Stone. Really beautiful part of the country and surprisingly quite remote. And whilst I've been standing here, Cairngorm's pretty much cleared up. We're going to turn to the left now. You can actually see the path over there. There is a weaker, more direct path to that big cairn, but it wasn't really very obvious. So just going to cut down now. So we're just coming down to Loch Arn. It's getting quite steep. Path looks a bit better than I recall it the last time I did this. And you can still see the tors on Ben Vian. So we just head down here. I'm going to go round to the right when you get down to the loch. It's been a few years since I've been down this path. It's much better now. It's totally rebuilt. It used to be a bit muddy and slippy before. Yeah, really good path. That last section there, it gets a little bit steeper, some slippery rock, some quite steep sections. Very slightly having to put your hands on and climb down. At this point you want to cross over the river. You can see the path on the opposite side, so you don't go all the way down to the loch, you cut across here. Some stunning views. Not a bad place to pitch your tent down there on the beach. Just looking across at the Shelter Stone. Surprisingly windy down here, given we're below the rim of the quarry. This section of the path's a bit rocky. It's easy enough to follow. We head down to where those tents are, up and over that little hill there, and you can see the scars across beside where the Shelter Stone is. And then it cuts right across diagonally up to the low point directly ahead. There's a couple of climbers going up there. I think they're doing the Shelter Stone route, or thereabouts. It's really nice out of the wind. Probably will have to put some sunblock on later. It's just a beautiful part of the country here. You can easily see why people would want to camp up here. So once you come up that path, it's a decent path, a little bit gravelly at points, but easy to follow, fairly steep. Summit's away up there, but we want to go through to the back, and then you go up on the left hand side. There's a clear path, so we're not going to try and cut the corner here, we'll just follow the path, it'll be easier to walk along. This is an even more popular camping spot. I can see 4 tents and more swimmers. That must be absolutely freezing. And that's so just ahead, pretty much where those people are, that's where the path starts and goes up this left hand edge. You can actually see a couple of walkers coming down. So a little bit of a steep ascent up onto the top there, then it flattens off and it's quite a nice walk to the summit. So when you come to the end of the lock-in here, if you need to, this is your last spot to fill up with water. We've got enough to get us up and back down, so we'll fill up in the return. The path goes off to the left just beyond that boulder there, and it makes its way up. We're at about 933 metres, summit's around about 1166, and it's just over 1.5 kilometres away. So we estimate about half an hour to get there. It's a glorious day for it. There's a nice gentle breeze. Yeah, it's really special today. You can go down there and then turn to your right and it takes you all the way back down to Linn of Dee. The path there going up takes you up to Derry Cairngorm. At this point we're going to turn left and go up to Ben Vian. You can see Derry Cairngorm over there, then Ben Macdui in the centre there. The wind's picked up, it's quite refreshing. This has got another really good path up it, made up of big boulders. It's really easy to walk up and to follow. Obviously there's a steepness, but it's quite a nice path. Once you come up that steep section, you want to head north-northeast and just come to the right hand side of that little pointy bit you can see today. From there we'll bend a little bit more right and we're heading towards that Tor, that black square block over there. You can see the summit of Cairngorm, which is just slightly west of north, north being about the middle between the two. Nice walk from here to the summit. Once you come to this little top, you bend more to the east. You can see the path quite clearly. And the summit is on top of one of those tors. Looks like the big black one from here. I think it is that one. We'll double check the GPS when we get over there. When the sun comes out and you've just got a gentle breeze, lovely scenery, no better place to go walking. That granite tor directly ahead is the summit, so we need to make our way up onto the top of that. Looks quite difficult from this side, but when you go round the back, it's slopey and there's a little bit of scrambling, but it's not hard. It's quite an unusual structure. Just going to leave our poles here. This is where you make it up. It's quite easy. Easy scramble. Yes. On the summit of Ben Vian, there's no actual cairn for this one. This granite tor, it's like climb up a really rough sandpaper. Very, very sticky. It's also a bit windy. So that's looking across to Derry Cairngorm. Ben McDooey is over there. Got Cairngorm Station up there. And there's a couple over there that I've not done yet. Ben Arn over there. For today's walk, we're just going to retrace our steps all the way back to that big cairn almost on the way up out of the ski centre. We're going to go round the tor just to see it from all sides, but it'll just take us back onto the path we came along to get here, heading in a south-westerly direction. We're back down at Lochan, so from here we're just going to go along to the right hand side there. I'm going to fill up with some water first, have a drink. It's a really nice spot to stop and get some fresh water. It's a glorious view from here, a gentle breeze, but we're not quite as fresh as we were on the way up, and the thought of going back up that really steep gorge it's a bit of a challenge. Knees are a little bit more sensitive than they were this morning, but the view is amazing. There are two climbers still up there just now. Let's see if we can zoom in. Oh, I can't find them. Oh, there they are. So we just head down towards the beach there. You can see the path goes along the side of the mountain, back up the gully. It's about 600 metres of ascent once we get down to the bottom to the summit of Cairngorm. Still a bit to go. That's quite tough coming up there. So the very bottom of it is quite steep, a little bit scrambly. It gets slightly easier. It's a good enough path, nice stepping stones, but a lot of big steps and quite steep. It now starts to level off, and then we'll take a bend up to the right to the summit of Cairngorm. Eventually you'll come up to the path here. I mean, it's a broad, wide path, so you can't miss it. If you want to just go straight back to the car park, you just keep heading straight on, you'll come to that big cairn. We're going to go up and do Cairngorm. It's only 2/3 of a kilometre in distance to the summit and 126 metres of altitude. It really is just over the top that you can see up there. Then from there we're going to take the main path that goes right down and by the restaurant and back down to the car park. It's another well-made path. Once it starts to flatten off, you've got the weather station there. The actual summit's over there. Before I go there, I'm going to go over to the edge, the southern edge, and just get some video. You can see the summit tour of Ben Vian straight ahead. down over there. Ben Macdui right in the middle up there. Ah, there's a lovely breeze. At the summit cairn of Cairngorm. I think I'm making it smaller. From the summit you head directly north, and in case you're not sure which way that is, they've built a nice string of cairns as far as I can see. You just head down there. I've never seen this on another mountain, but here you've got some ropes to keep you on the track. The weather can get pretty severe up here. There will be days you need to use them, but not today. When you come to the Ptarmigan station, you can go either way. You can go left or right. If you go left, it takes you down the gravel road. It's a little bit longer, a little bit less up and down. If you go right, it takes you down a nice cobble footpath for the most part, but I think a better walk. So we're going to go to the right. So just ahead, we're going to leave this gravel road we're on and follow the gravel footpath, and you can see it weaves its way down there through the snow fencing and all the way down. Should be quite an easy and obvious route to follow. We're just descending the final few steps back down to the car park. I hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to showing you more next week, and bye for now.